How about we put an end to this whole entire Snyder fiasco once and for all? What do you say? YouTube was good. It's your boy Jody Joe. Welcome to Jody's Corner. And as promised, I told you guys that I would give you guys exactly the source of how I know everything that I know about Zack Snyder and his intentions. Something that a lot of people don't know, something that I don't think anybody knows it or has reported on, period, out there. But in order for me to finally get to that, I need to give you guys a story. I got to start from the beginning one last time and let you guys and explain to you guys exactly how we've gotten to this point. Because I've stayed silent, holding on to this information for a long time because I just feel like it was the right thing to do. I felt like I wasn't, I felt like I didn't care enough to even release or even talk about it. But a lot of that has changed, with Zack Snyder's Justice League finally coming out, which is okay. It's emboldened a lot of people over the last 8 or 9 months or so. It's been a nightmare as a DC fan. Now, regardless of how you feel about AT&T or HBO and all that other stuff, put all that stuff to the side. At its core, the number one issue here is the Zack Snyder cult, which is why I have my Rejected Snyder cult shirt on. We'll get to that a little bit later. It's the toxic fandom that absolutely exists within the Snyder fandom. I feel like there's Zack Snyder fans who just wanted the cut, who just wanted to see Zack Snyder content. Then you have this toxic cult that harasses, bullies, and manipulates and accuses people left and right. It's just, they're really, really, really poison. And, it gets really, the death threats and, this stuff has to stop. And the simple fact that Zack has said that he feels like he doesn't have any toxicity in his fandom and that his fandom not only is not toxic, but he says that he believes he has the best fandom ever because they raised money for a suicide prevention that they weaponized. That was the last straw for me. And now I don't have any loyalty to even not revealing my source of his true intentions that I've known for over 3 years now. So let's take a trip down memory lane in order to catch us up. This starts all the way back in March 25th of 2016, the day that will live in infamy. On Jody's Corner, I released the BVS rant. Prior to this movie, I had all the hype that this movie was going to be great because it was Batman and Superman. For the first time in my life, I was going to be able to see Batman and Superman on screen together, something that I never thought was going to ever happen. It happened. So leading up to the release of this film, I guess you could say I was pretty darn excited. This was a lifetime thing for me. BVS sucked. I'm doubling down that it's trash. It was a wasted, failed attempt of a movie. You guys could go watch my BVS rant out there. It's what got a lot of people to see my channel and see how real I was and see how honest I was. And so many people on the internet were saying how good BVS was initially because that's how it normally is. Critics are so afraid on YouTube to outright bash a movie up front. They don't want to be the first ones bashing a film because they don't want to know what the community, if the rest of the community says that they like it, then they're exposed as being the only basher. I don't play those games. If a movie's trash, I'm going to call it trash. And that's what BVS was. I had the first rant, titled rant, branded rant on YouTube, March 25th, 2016, absolutely annihilating the film because it annihilated me as a fan. That film had a Superman that wasn't Superman, a Batman that was cool, but wasn't Batman, had shoehorn tie-ins to the Justice League. You had a whack, trash, goofy, weird Zod, a dead Jimmy Olsen, a dead Richard Grayson. You had Doomsday in this thing. You did the death of Superman in this movie, and Doomsday and Lex Luthor brought Doomsday to life by taking the DNA of himself and a dead Zod that they had kept somewhere and made Doomsday. So in essence, Doomsday was the son of his father, Lex Luthor. I'm done. I just don't even want to talk about it no more. It was just a travesty of a film. And overall, it was boring, dark, bland, and CG. It's a typical Snyder film. Now, to let you guys know, I love Dawn of the Dead. I love Watchmen, and I love 300. My main issue with Zack Snyder has always been the way he handles DC films. DC gave Zack Snyder the keys to the franchise in 2016 and said, go ahead and do what you want. After Christopher Nolan finished the Dark Knight trilogy in 2012, I remember the name of the article. The articles that were out was that DC is back, darker is better. Is darker better? Darker is better. Darker is better. They wanted that to be the narrative of the future of DC. And who did they pick? They picked Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan turned it down. He didn't want to do a Superman movie because he's too Superman. He likes to do ground-based characters, but there's somebody that he did say, hey, Warner Brothers, take a look at this guy. Maybe he could do it for you. That guy's name was Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder had the keys given to him by Warner Brothers, who was desperate to catch what Marvel was doing with their on fire MCU, because by 2012, Avengers 1 hit $1.5 billion. Ding, ding, ding. They saw those dollar signs. They said, give it to us. Man of Steel came out. You know, that's not a Superman movie. I have my issues with Man of Steel. Later down the line, I could acknowledge that Man of Steel is a good film, but it's a trash Superman movie. BVS comes out, flops. Warner Brothers saw that Man of Steel was polarizing. Made $668 million in the box office. Relatively okay, but also relatively disappointing. It didn't live up to their expectations. So that's one failure. And the critics were so-so on Man of Steel. BVS comes out. How is it that you can make a movie with the actual Trinity in it? With Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Not to mention Lex Luthor and Doomsday with a Dead Zod cameo. And it doesn't even crack 900 million. Ladies and gentlemen, Batman versus Superman, the film that has never been seen and is one of the nerd's most iconic cum shots of all time, couldn't make $1 billion in the box office. When that same year, a couple of months later, Captain America Civil War passes up BVS with $1 billion threshold mark. And they didn't even do their heroes right, because Civil War, that wasn't even the Civil War story. They didn't even have half the characters. That pissed Warner Brothers off tremendously. And it pissed me off. And it pissed a lot of other fans off. To know that you can only make $886 million or whatever it is. That Batman and Superman movie should have cracked $2 billion just off GP. Just off principle, it should have made that money, but it didn't. It was a huge flop. Critically, probably even worse. They didn't like it. It was panned. Then we had Suicide Squad, which is another heavily produced Zack Snyder project. He was more heavily involved with that than Wonder Woman, of course. David Ayer flopped that joint up. He said, F Marvel. Then he said, oh, but yeah, my movie sucks, whatever. Then we got a different Ayer cut. Then we got a rated R extended cut. It's weird. That didn't work. Wonder Woman saved the day because I put my entire channel on that movie, and I knew that that movie was going to be great because I believed in Patty. I knew about Patty's talent. I believed in her. I believed in her eye and her vision, and I put my channel on the line to defend her when people were telling me I was crazy. It worked. Wonder Woman was the only single film of the DC universe that actually worked. And lo and behold, it's the one movie that doesn't look anything like a Snyderverse film. Now, why could that be? And these are the type of things that I've been saying. Yes, I'm loudmouth. Yes, I say Snyder's DC movies are trash all the time. Yeah, I have the right to do that because I hate those movies so much, because what it did was it put DC in the hole, because everybody's perception of the DC universe was a negative one. Unless you're a hardcore DC fan, or you're a huge DC fanboy, or if you're a Nolan or a Snyder fanboy, you didn't like DC and it was negative. Wonder Woman got the effects of that movie. I'll never forget how Patty Jenkins had a cold start. She had a negative 30-foot start from the start line because of what Snyder did to the universe. Nobody thought her film was going to be good. Lots of rumors came out saying her film was already bad. Rumors and reports were coming out that her movie was a failure, it was a disjointed mess, and Patty was a tyrant on set. I heard these things. All of these things were tied to the dark narrative that surrounds not only DC movies on their own, but surrounds Zack Snyder's dark, gritty, heavily CGI, gray-red sky, blurry, non-heroic, off Elseworld story characters. I was very vocal about all of these things. My disdain for how DC was, to the point where I went to Marvel and I said, show me the way. Marvel showed me the way. I had my eye on DC, came back a couple times. they didn't get their act together, even though we knew the path that they were going forward with. Once DC saw that Wonder Woman was the way and made that money, and also was the first critical success unanimously across the board, DC said, we need more of this. And that's when they knew they wanted to abandon the Zack Snyder method, and they wanted to move forward with more of a Patty Jenkins-esque method. That's the future they wanted to follow. Now, Justice League was a film that was coming out in a hybrid phase in between after Wonder Woman and before Aquaman. I let all of my fans know, do not give Justice League too much of a hard time and don't put too much weight on it. That's a Snyder film. That's a Snyder film that was filming during the same time Wonder Woman was filming. So I ask you guys, they didn't course correct for Justice League. We need to look to Aquaman to be the first project from DC since Wonder Woman came out and shown Warner Brothers what they want to do. That's how we judge the future. Jody Damas, that's exactly how it happened. But Justice League did come out. It did flop. It did make only $650 million, roughly around there. Forgive me if I'm shy on the numbers. Justice League was a terrible film for a lot of people. Joss Whedon was hired to finish Justice League because Zack Snyder had to step away due to a death in the family. The one mark on Warner Brothers' head that I won't ever forgive and that I got to be honest with is the way they chose to let Zack Snyder go was very unprofessional, and it was outright wrong. I don't think that using the death of the man's daughter in order as an excuse to get him out of there was right. But at the same time, that's what the public knows. The public knows of the idea that they utilized his daughter's death to actually exit Zack Snyder off of the film. But I would tell you, to the people that I know within Warner Brothers, is that Zack Snyder absolutely knew his end was coming, and he sensed the writing on the wall, and he knew he was being fired. But this is a better story to use because it doesn't look publicly like he was fired. Why was Zack Snyder fired from Justice League? A lot of people have their own ideas, but I have the truth. And the truth is that after BVS came out, more insider information, I'm sorry. After BVS came out and failed critically, and according to expectations, failed financially, because even though $900 million is a lot of money and they made money, the bar that they raised for that film was not reached. The money it should have made, it didn't make. So the way Warner Brothers saw it, it was a financial failure. Because in 2016, 2 months later, Civil War made $1 billion and they didn't even have half the characters. But here we are with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, the DC Trinity, and we can't crack 900 million. Warner Brothers wasn't having that. They said, we got to get this guy out of here. His contract's almost up after his third film. He's gone. It was already done. By the time BVS came out, the writing was on the wall as he was filming that movie. A lot of people don't know that that was what was going on inside of Warner Brothers, but that's more insider information to you now. Warner Brothers absolutely had full intention and plans on firing Zack Snyder after BVS was released. They already knew it while BVS was being made. Ben Affleck with the sad Affleck emoji, you guys know when him and Henry Cavill are sitting there and the reporter's telling him, the fandom's divided. A lot of them don't really like your film. They don't really like some of the film. Henry Cavill gives his PC answer like a PC Cavill should. He's being a pro. But you can't help but see the look of sadness on Ben Affleck's face. Someone who really loved the Batman character. Someone who really disagreed with a lot of the things that were happening on set. Somebody who felt that Batman, even himself, wasn't being done justice, even though he liked a lot of the things that he did in the cowl. It hurt Ben Affleck very much so. By the time Justice League was shooting, Warner Brothers and the air around Zack Snyder was starting to thin because Zack Snyder knew that he was on his way out as soon as the final shot was shot. And that's kind of what happened. Zack Snyder took a finished-esque, a rough cut, And he showed Warner Brothers his film. What should have been the very same film that you guys are going to watch in March of 2021, upcoming. That film has a lot of new scenes added to it. But that same film, Warner Brothers seen that film almost 4 years ago. And when Snyder put all the studio heads in the room and screened that movie to show them what he's been working on post BVS for Justice League, the reception was damning, to say the least. Those studio heads got so scared, they panicked. They said, this movie is garbage. There's no way we can release this. Cut it shorter, cut it out. You know what? You're gone. They made calls to somebody who knows how to deal with a team-up film. That's when Joss Whedon comes into play. Joss Whedon took Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. Even with the studio mingling, Joss Whedon was a consummate professional and took those movies to $1.5 and $1.6 billion respectively. It was Warner Brothers and Kevin Tsujihara's heavy displeasure of Zack Snyder's production, as well as Jeff Johns' displeasure with Zack Snyder's production, to the point where Jeff Johns was appointed executive of creative. He was the president of creative over at DC. To kind of guide the ship. Because to my knowledge is Jeff Johns was there, but he never really liked the Snyderverse that he was seeing come out before him. He never really loved Man of Steel, never really liked BVS. In fact, he didn't like those movies, and he did think that Zack Snyder was in over his head. And when he was appointed to a higher position where he could call the shots and to create control, Zack Snyder didn't like that too much. Made Zack Snyder feel small. So when they made the call to Joss Whedon, a Marvel guy, and said, come in here and save this guy's movie, the same guy that was supposed to be the rival of Kevin Feige, you took away his keys, kicked him out the house, and said, I'm going to bring somebody else to clean your house and fix up the way you design, because you can't design for shit. Imagine how that would make you feel. Zack Snyder's ego was terribly hurt. When they brought in Joss Whedon and gave him a blank check, the reports are he needed an extra $30 to $60 million to completely change Zack Snyder's version into something that's even feasible and watchable. Zack Snyder fans begun to revolt and say, we want the Snyder cut. Then they started to say, we want Zack Snyder's Snyder cut. And before Justice League came out, they questioned whether the Justice League movie will get credited to Joss Whedon or Zack Snyder. It was a huge battle. Most of the Snyder fans says that's Snyder's movie. He finished that movie 95% of the way. He should get directing credit. You better not give Joss credit for Zack's movie. No, Joss, it's Zack's movie. That was the narrative. Snyder fans really wanted him to get credit, Zack Snyder to get credit for that Justice League in 2017. I know that sounds weird to me saying it today, but trust me, I was there fighting these people all throughout since 2016. They absolutely wanted 2017 Justice League to be accredited to Snyder, and they said it's his movie. It wasn't only until after Justice League came out that they said, you know what? That's Joss's movie. That's not Snyder's movie. Give the credit to Joss. That's the Justice League. Hypocrites. I called them out on it, got more hate. Justice League came out, and it was challenging. Warner Brothers understood what Joss was there to do. They knew that he was there to make trash less trash. And that's what Justice League was. But somehow, miraculously, in making Justice League, he managed to fix Superman. In one film, Joss Whedon came in and took that dark, evil, moody, brooding Superman that was going to be manipulated by Darkseid and become a villain to Batman and turn him into the light, shining, bright hope of the future in one film, and then gave me a Superman flash race at the end. Made me tingle inside seeing that end credit scene. I liked Justice League for the superheroes that was presented, not for the film it was. Justice League is a bad movie, but it's a darn good superhero movie. That was the first time I actually seen the Justice League. The Snyder Cut you're going to get, ladies and gentlemen, will not feel like a Justice League. It'll feel like 5, 6, 7 heroes that are out here just making it work in their own worlds. They will not feel like a league. They will not feel like the Justice League. They will not feel like a team. They don't even have color. Going back to the story. When Joss Whedon was done and he went off into the sunset, there was trouble brewing behind the scenes. All the while along, Ye Fisher, Jason Momoa, Zack Snyder, a couple of employees at Warner Brothers were in communication with Zack Snyder, telling him what was going on, about the bad things that was being said about Zack's movie. They were reporting back to Zack as Zack is home eating donuts. Hey, yo, Zack, I was filming today, man, and they were dogging your movie in the editing room. They said that you're a hack. And absolutely, Joss Whedon was absolutely talking trash about your movie, Zack. I can confirm that because your movie was trash. DC said your movie was trash. That's why they hired Joss. You scared those suits so bad that they went and got a Marvel guy to finish your movie. I don't even need to say anything after that. That says pretty much how extreme it was. So yeah, Joss Whedon was talking trash and he had clashes with Ye Fisher because he didn't want to say booyah. But why is it that Ye Fisher is making all of these issues up? Why is it that he doesn't want to say booyah? Why is it that Ye Fisher had so many issues on the set about lines and scripts and what to say? Why all of a sudden is this no-name actor stepping up to upper echelon Hollywood producers who have been doing this for decades? It never made sense to me, but it always made sense to me. Because knowing what I know, you would understand that it was a coup. Ye Fisher, a.k.a. Ray Fisher Smollett, was sent on a mission to cause dismay and to help bring down heads at Warner Brothers at Zack Snyder's encouragement. And it wasn't just Ray Fisher. Ladies and gentlemen, Zack Snyder has a vendetta against Warner Brothers, has a vendetta against Joss Whedon, has a vendetta against Jeff Johns, has a vendetta against Kevin Sugihara, and many other high-arcing producers. Throw in John Berg, throw in your Walter Hamadas later on down the line, throw in your Toby Emmerichs. But Jody, what are you talking about? You're just saying things. You have no idea, no proof of what you're talking about. You are just saying things. Well, I understand how that would cause doubt. The source that I have that confirmed everything to me wasn't a source that was one of my sources. I don't give up my sources. This person is somebody who didn't even know. In his defense, this person didn't even know he was feeding me with information. This person didn't even know who I was. So what I did was I was on an undisclosed Warner Brothers location on set, and somebody who is very, very close to Zack Snyder, befriended me. And I'm going to tell you, he's a nice guy. I have nothing personal against him. As a matter of fact, he was really a nice guy. And I want to say this right now. This is nothing personal against you. This is something completely just has nothing to do with you, really. And you have been nothing but nice to me, and we had a great conversation, and I wish you the best. You're going to be fine. I put this out to help fight bullying because I've been a victim of death threats, slander, kill yourself, you're worse than a terrorist, I hope, F your dead dog, get coronavirus, you're fat, this and all that, and F your family, F your son, you hope you burn in hell, hope you didn't exist, bite a lightsaber, just a whole bunch of stuff that ends in me being harmed. All from this Snyder cult. Not the Snyder Cut movement, the Snyder cult, the toxic fandom. And they used the death of Zack Snyder's dead daughter in the American Suicide Prevention to weaponize it and use that against me and many other people who spoke out about how they didn't like Zack Snyder's movies. These people are absolutely crazy. They have pictures of Jesus as Snyder's face. It's ridiculous. And Zack Snyder coming out and saying that his fandom isn't toxic is the reason I'm making this video today. So when I made this shirt, it was to be for a good cause. These shirts were $35 each. The quality is amazing. The logo is beautiful. I mean, my shirts look way better than the Snyder Cut shirts. And I'm not even trying to gas myself up. It just is. The clarity, the set, the clarity, the sharpness, the logo design, the material is just not even comparable. So here I'm offering a superior product for a good price of $35. And guess what? All of the sales of the shirts proceeds was going to, guess where? The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And not only that, but I was going to put my own money out of my pocket to give to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention because I believe in that. I pledged $100 each month for the rest of the year of 2020 on top of all proceeds from my t-shirts to go to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And guess what the Snyder cult did? They took this down. They complained. They sent letters and they went to Teespring and they made Teespring take it down because for other reasons. They took it down. They're hypocrites. This was never about a suicide prevention because here's a way to really get some money in there too. I want to do my part. They shut it down because why? My dislike for Snyder movies outweighed the love of preventing suicide. And that's the hypocritical thing that I want you guys to understand. This is how dark and deep they go with it. Ye Fisher came at me and called me a homophobe to the world, added me into the news. I had to destroy Ye Fisher with his lies. I've made countless videos about Ye Fisher and how he's a hypocrite and a liar, defending myself. He tried to cancel me, uncancelable, fought that, won that. Ye Fisher is definitely the boy who cried wolf. He is the first black Karen. And when he came out with all of the allegations against Joss Whedon, John Berg, and Jeff Johns, it was peculiar to me because he's doing it at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. And I said, this timing is suspect. The cult came for me again. I theorized that Zack Snyder put Ye Fisher up to using his blackness at the right opportune time. The death of George Floyd was a sad one, but for the first time in history since the Civil Rights Movement, white America was listening to us black people. And Ye Fisher and Zack Snyder conspired to utilize Ye Fisher's blackness and use the Black Lives Matter movement to be heard on allegations that were absolutely bullshit. Why would a black man who doesn't have any movie experience, only comes from a couple of roles on Broadway, why would he be so adamant and come for producers who can ruin his career? Why would someone do that? It really comes down to common sense, ladies and gentlemen. People think, oh, he's noble. He's falling on his sword. Come on. Let's be logical here. Ladies and gentlemen, he has a safety net. He was given assurances that if you get these people out, let's use your black skin. Let's use Black Lives Matter. Let's use you being on the end. Let's use this moment to attack now. Not a year ago, not 2 years ago, not 3 years ago when it was fresher. Now, because the Black Lives Matter is important and you're black. Let's do it. Get them out and I'll get you your Cyborg movie. You want your Cyborg movie? You want to take over? Let's take over this place. You got to get John Berg, Jeff Johns, and all them up out of there. That's what gave him the gas. Ladies and gentlemen, Ye Fisher ain't brave. Ye Fisher is a pawn and a tool. Zack Snyder whispered in his ear. All of this is Zack Snyder working behind the scenes. He has a legitimate vendetta against John Berg, Jeff Johns, and Joss Whedon. That's exactly why Ye Fisher did this. And then Jason Momoa came out and said some really ignorant shit like, yo, someone needs to check this. What's going on? I'm pretty sure he was contacted by some people to shut up or else you ain't gonna be Aquaman no more. So that's why he shut up, which is smart because I actually liked Aquaman. Then one of you guys, I'll leave that out. Some of you guys, most of you, probably are wondering right now, this is just hearsay. Some of you Snyder Cult members are looking at this video right now saying, you're just making this up. You're just talking. You don't know anything. Okay. Well, the person that I have that's close to Zack Snyder, I need to give you an idea of how close we're talking about. When I was conversing with this man, we had a great conversation about camera lenses and stuff and focal ratios and all that and ISO and different type of glass. It was really nice. Then the conversation shifted to this person being very close to Zack. How close to Zack was this guy? This guy is so close that you could say the words that he says comes out of this person's mouth. And this person told me the words that he said because I instantly knew he didn't know who I was. So I played a character. I guess you could say I played a character. I played a character, and that character is a Snyder fan. Yes, I approached this man and I started to convert myself. I started to ask him questions. But first, I needed proof that he was really as close to Zack as he said he was. To which the point he provided the proof. He began to open his phone, open up his contacts, showed me his number, showed me many pictures that he had with him, and then gave me a lot of stories. And he showed the proof and the evidence and the facts that he is definitely very close to Zack Snyder. How close? This man was Zack Snyder's best man at his wedding. I believe he told me he was the godfather to some of his children. But he also told me he's Zack's very best friend in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Zack Snyder's best friend fed me information. And he didn't know he was feeding me information. Because why would he doubt me? We're on Warner Brothers property. We're at an official location. We're at an official set. So what I decided to do was I pretended to be a Snyder fan and I asked him questions. After we've talked and all the proof was all there, and then when the name drops, you guys will understand. I said, what was it like for Zack to have to step away from his Justice League movie? He answered. Then we started to talk about it and I asked him, did he feel some type of way when Joss Whedon and all them had to come in and finish his film? Then I said, that's messed up what they did to Zack, having him in that moment, having to step away from the film and they took over his movie and butchered it, at which he had a lot to say. This person told me that Zack Snyder hates Joss Whedon. He says to get a Marvel guy to come over and come and finish the film like that, he's a scumbag. Scumbag. How does Zack feel about Joss? We talk about him all the time. He's a scumbag and he's going to go down. That's a quote. He's a scumbag and he's going to go down. And I'm like, okay, well, there's a lot of people could think, all right, there's a lot of things with that. You know, there's a lot of stuff, rumors about Joss Whedon that I have heard. I have insiders that know about that too. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff going around with Joss Whedon that I'm not going to talk about, but the rumors are out there. But this, what he was talking about, was more predicated to him in the film. They talked about how Joss was talking smack about Justice League, how it all got back to Zack, and how they would sit and talk for hours about how messed up the situation was. He said that Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns are going down. Zack Snyder wants Jeff Johns and Joss Whedon to go to, and he said Kevin Sugihara. He says it starts all the way from the top. Zack wants Kevin's head, Zack wants Joss's head, and Zack wants Joss Whedon's head because they came in and took over his movie and he was sad and bitter about it. I said, was he affected by it? Is he hurt? He said, yeah, he's hurt. He's sad and he's furious and he's pissed off about it. He says it's foul what they did to him. He says Warner Brothers are full of shit. Then he proceeded to say how Zack feels about Warner Brothers. Zack Snyder hates Warner Brothers executives. And that goes from the bottom of the bottom all the way to the top. Ladies and gentlemen, he has told me that Kevin Sugihara was at fault for a lot of the reasons why things happen. He told me that Jeff Johns is an enemy scumbag and he has to go. And Joss Whedon is a scumbag, among other things. Paraphrasing now, because he was talking so much dirt on them. It's like basically we were having a 10-minute, when we were talking about them, we were having a 10-minute conversation of how trash Joss Whedon is and how he can't direct and how he what he said he made his movie goofy. He alluded to the fact that it was color and it was goofy, it was lighthearted and shit. We talked about how Kevin Sugihara had it out for Zack Snyder. We talked about how Jeff Johns is also a scumbag and how Jeff Johns doesn't know what he's doing. He's unqualified. A whole bunch of stuff about these three main names. We didn't talk about Toby Emmerich in our conversation. We didn't talk about John Berg. And we didn't talk about Walter Hamada or anything like that. But he says the higher-ups at Warner Brothers. We talked about the Warner Brothers higher-ups. So whoever was in them higher-up positions at the time, you could look at the time of who those higher-ups were. Toby Emmerich was the head of New Line at the time, which I don't think really had much to do. I think he had power, but I don't think he had much to do with over the Snyder movie. But he says all of the higher-ups at Warner Brothers, all of Warner Brothers are trash. He hates them. Zack Snyder has a personal, confirmed vendetta against Warner Brothers producers, specifically named Joss Whedon, Jeff Johns, and Kevin Sugihara. Kevin Sugihara is now exited. Jeff and Joss were there, right? So now I'm like, for sure. And then they went on. We were talking about how it really Zack was more pissed off than he was hurt. He said how hurt he was, but he was saying how mad he was and angry, and he wanted revenge. He says we're gonna get them. That's what he said. They're gonna get theirs. They're gonna get theirs, and we'll get our justice. That's where the conversation was. Like they believed full and well that they're gonna get what's coming to them. Why would you say that? Unless you had moles in there to cause dismay. Exclusive. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where Ye Fisher and to an extent Jason Momoa and to an extent other employees that were involved in reporting back to Snyder. He had them working to tear down Warner Brothers. Now that is confirmed. I've known this since 2018, 17, 18. And I just held on to it. And imagine me hearing all this Snyder news for 3+ years about Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut, knowing in my mind. Now you understand why I really had a genuine hate for that movie to come back, because I know what it represents. I know what Release the Snyder Cut represents. It represents a tyrant in Zack Snyder who has a plot, a Sith plot to take Warner Brothers down. Why do you think Warner Brothers hates Zack Snyder? Maybe because Zack Snyder hates Warner Brothers. It's this. There is beef there. Zack Snyder personally hates Joss Whedon. He's a scumbag. He's a piece of shit. He's a hack. He's this. He's that. This is what we were talking about. These are the type of words that I'm hearing come from this man's mouth as he's showing me pictures of him and Zach and telling me about their lives and how besties they are, and Godfather and at the wedding, all this stuff. Because I had to make sure. And when I found out who he was later on, because even I didn't know who he was. I just thought he was a photographer. But no, he is a photographer, but he's the photographer for DC. Ladies and gentlemen, the person's name is Clay Enos. Clay Enos. Yes, this guy right here. He's the one that is best friends with Zack Snyder, who is documented at taking photographs for all of his movies, even some of his personal films, spends time at his house, spends time with his children for the holidays, best man at the wedding, his actual legitimate best friend in his life, knows his thoughts, talks with him he said he talks to him every day. He said, I literally talk to him every day. That's what he told me. I remember it's coming back even more to me. He said, I literally talk to him every day. That's my best friend. Clay Enos, who takes photographs. He says he does the posters. He says, I do most of all the promotional posters. If you see billboard pictures, if you see promote pictures and trailers and stuff, he says usually I'm the one that's taking those pictures. And it makes sense because he was at the production taking the pictures for the production that I was at. Clay Enos, Zack Snyder's best friend, told me directly to my face how much Zack Snyder hates Joss Whedon, and how much Zack Snyder despises Jeff Johns, and how much Zack Snyder despises Kevin Tsujihara and all of the producers up there at Warner Brothers. And he despised Warner Brothers. Zack Snyder hated Warner Brothers and still does. And he used the Snyder Cut. He used the hashtag. He used Ray Fisher, and he used Jason Momoa, and he's still using other people who are there, a couple of them who don't really matter, to bring Warner Brothers down. That's why your boy Ye Fisher came out and did all the things that he was doing and felt emboldened with it, because he was given assurances from his daddy, Zack Snyder. Oh boy, that feels good. Whew, exclusive, my lightning striking out here, bruh. Exclusive on Jody's Corner, something that nobody reported on, because unless you were there, you wouldn't know. No site's gonna run with this. Well, you're getting it here. Clay Enos, good guy. I'm telling you, he was really, as a Snyder fan that I was a huge Snyder fan in that moment. Yeah, I played a character in order to get information from him. Yeah, that's kind of like, fuck, dang, Jody, you really finessed him. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I did that. But I got the information. To confirmation of what, even things that I didn't even suspect. I didn't think Joss had hate like that, so much hate and revenge, and I wanted to bring Warner Brothers down like that. I was blown away by some of the stuff that I was hearing, but that's the truth of exactly what Zack Snyder feels about Warner Brothers and feels about DC, and wants to bring the whole thing down. But Jody, you don't know. You making this story up. Clay Enos wouldn't be around you, or you ain't been in no Warner Brothers set, and you don't know what you talking about. Then I ask you one question then. Who do you think took this picture? I'm Jody Joe, and I'm out this thing. Deuces!